Welcome to Dr. David Eifrig's Health and Wealth Bulletin. This is Weekly Update. Recently, we've seen a lot of uncertainty in the markets, particularly from all the volatility in February, and also from recent headlines out of Washington. Everything from the turnover in the administration to a possible trade war has our subscribers writing in worried about what's going on with their portfolios and what they can do with their money. That's why this week we want to go through our top 3 favorite ways to help you stop missing out on possible income. So the first mistake that investors are making is sitting in cash. This is something that our friends over at Stansberry Newswire recently covered in their latest podcast. That's because numbers out of Crane data estimate that about $350 billion are sitting as uninvested cash in people's brokerage accounts. Now that uninvested cash is only making about 0.12% every year, or about $420 million in income. But if everyone just put that uninvested cash in something as simple as a money market fund, which is earning about 1%, you would pocket $3.5 billion in income. That's a huge margin. That's why we always emphasize the importance of asset allocation. If you have a brokerage account and you haven't looked at it in a while, make sure you go in and have proper allocation. You want to be evenly balanced between stocks, bonds, money market funds, and chaos hedges. So our second tip to stop missing out on money is to make sure that you use an IRA to help alleviate your tax burden. Now we're going to walk you through an example on this. Remember, when you make contributions to a traditional IRA, you do so with pre-tax dollars. So say you and your spouse make $100,000. With the marginal tax rate of 25%, the IRS says you'll owe roughly $16,587 a year in taxes. This is, of course, assuming certain things about your income. You'll wind up taking home $83,413. But if you and your spouse both make the maximum annual IRA contributions, that's about $5,500 each, you'll adjust your taxable income to $89,000. That means your tax bill drops to $13,836. You end up taking home $75,164, but you also set aside an additional $11,000. So this means that you'll have $86,164 in net worth after contributing to an IRA versus the $83,413 if you pay the max in taxes and do not have a retirement account. So another way to look at this is you get $11,000, but it only costs you about $8,249. That's an immediate 33% return on your investment, which you can then let compound in your account for decades. Another point here is remember there is a saver's credit that you can take on your taxes. If you contribute to a retirement account, you may be eligible for as much as $2,000 in tax credit, or $4,000 if you're married and filing jointly. Now there are income limits on the saver's credit, but that's definitely something you should look into when doing your taxes this year. And our last tip is the favorite of Dr. David Eifrig. It helps you find missing money that you may not realize you even have. Retirement Millionaire subscribers have found tens of thousands of dollars over the years in lost money using something called missingmoney.com. This site helps you find unclaimed property and money that's being held in your name, but there are a few other places you can check as well, such as unclaimed.org. Now keep in mind here, this is the .org site, not .com. You want to be very careful when typing these in, as we have them displayed on the screen. There's also the Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation, or PBGC. This is a great site to look at if you're looking for an unclaimed pension. Now keep in mind you don't necessarily have to look for your name on this site. You can also look for your relatives. So if you have a family member who recently passed and you want to know if they had a pension they weren't collecting, you can go on this site to learn more. And finally, every year the IRS reports billions of dollars in unclaimed refunds. If you suspect that you may have had a refund that you didn't receive, go to the IRS.com, click on Where's My Refund, and work through the steps there to see if there's anything in your name that you have yet to claim. That's it for our 3 tips, but we do have one more. Especially in times of turmoil in the market, it's really important to know how to make extra income. And you can do that with our service, Retirement Trader. Right now we have a great offer on this newsletter. If you're interested, click on the link in the description below to get started. And don't forget to keep your comments and questions coming to our feedback line. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.